Hi, I'm Kelly. Have you ever felt someone creeping up on you in your rental room or dorm? Tonight's episode features two terrifying tales that happened inside the room. I work in a different city, so to save money, I rented a small studio near the subway station. It wasn't big, but it was enough for someone like me who just needed a place to sleep. The place used to be an old apartment building, now renovated into tiny units with private bathrooms and mini fridges. Nothing fancy, just clean and simple. The bed was a wooden loft style, pushed against the wall, and had space underneath for storage boxes. I thought that was actually pretty convenient. The first month was fine. The soundproofing wasn't great. I could sometimes hear neighbors talking or snoring, but I got used to it. That night, I remember clearly. I had just showered and was lying on the bed, listening to a podcast with my wireless earbuds, almost falling asleep. Suddenly, the right earbud slipped out and dropped under the bed, so I reached down with my eyes half closed to feel around. The room was dark. Only my phone screen still glowed faintly, nowhere near enough to light under the bed. I turned to the side and stretched my arm into the space. It was pretty deep. I felt nothing but the cold floor and some dust. I was about to give up when I touched a hand. I swear, it was a hand. 5 fingers, a slightly sunken palm, cold and dry, like skin soaked in cold water and then left to air dry. But the scariest part? I was just trying to grab my earbud. Yet that hand touched me back. Its fingers brushed lightly across the back of my hand, like it was trying to feel who I was. I yanked my hand back immediately and sat up, heart pounding. I switched on the lights. The room was dead quiet. Under the bed, nothing. So clean that even the earbud was gone. I forced myself to breathe and pulled out the storage boxes to look more closely. I eventually found the earbud, but I swear, I saw a faint scratch mark on the wood floor, like someone had dragged a fingernail across it. I barely slept that night. The next day, I cleared out the space under the bed, and in the farthest corner against the wall, I noticed one wooden panel looked newer than the rest. I gently pried it open with tweezers and found a hidden maintenance hole. It was pitch black inside, hollow, probably a duct or old wiring space from before the apartment was renovated. I quickly sealed it back up and left the lights on for days. I thought that would be the end of it. Until one day after work, I got a call from the landlord. He sounded odd. First thing he asked was,
"Did you move the storage boxes under the bed recently?"
I paused.
Yeah. I dropped an earbud and moved them to look for it.
He was quiet for a few seconds, then said,
"There used to be, a fake finger in one of those boxes. Like part of a model hand or something. A previous tenant left it. I meant to throw it out but forgot. But today I found it in a shoebox in the downstairs storage room."
I didn't say anything. He added,
"I thought it had always been in that box under your bed. How did it end up downstairs? Really weird."
Goosebumps crawled up my neck. And then he said one last thing.
"But it's fine, really. I mean, that room, one of the old tenants said he sometimes felt someone under the bed, gently tugging at his fingers while he slept."
I didn't respond. I just slowly set my phone down, walked to the bed, bent over, and looked under it one more time. Nothing. You know, in a dorm, the one thing you should never touch is something left behind by someone who lived there before. I'm a freshman and had just moved into the school dorm, a 6-person room. Small, but manageable. The beds were the loft type, with desks underneath. The girl who used to sleep in the bed near the corner had left unexpectedly. The closet was empty, but on the bed, I found an old brown scrunchie, kind of loose and fuzzy. I figured she forgot it, so I tossed it in the drawer to return it later when the school did a room check. And then I forgot all about it. One morning, while I was doing my hair, my scrunchie snapped off and bounced under the desk. I crouched down to look, didn't see it, so I reached in with my hand and I felt hair, wet hair, that feeling. You can't ever forget it. Not dry, fallen strands. No, this was damp, heavy, like hair that had just been washed and not yet dried. I freaked out. I thought maybe a wig had fallen, so I tugged, but nothing came out. The floor was dry, and my scrunchie was nowhere to be found. That night, I couldn't sleep. Around 3 a.m., I started hearing a faint scratching sound, like nails softly dragging across wooden boards. It came from below me, from the lower bunk, one after another, as if someone was climbing up from a tight space. I didn't dare move, didn't even open my phone light. I waited until morning, and when I finally looked, of course, nothing, just the usual dorm room. But I swear, one corner under the bed looked damp. Later, I asked the school to let me change beds. I told them the desk smelled weird, which was true. It smelled like an old damp towel. They didn't ask questions and moved me quickly. Weeks later, a transfer student took over my old spot. We had a club meeting that night, and she was there too. We were all sitting around chatting when she suddenly said something that made me freeze. She said,
"Last night I had this weird dream. Someone was pulling my hair. And this morning, a whole clump of it was stuck between the bed and the frame. So creepy. But I know I tied my hair up before bed."
Everyone laughed, saying her hair must have come loose. Only I didn't laugh, because I knew what I touched that morning might not have been a wig. That's it for tonight's story. But what about you? Have you ever heard strange noises or touched something weird while living in a dorm or a rental? Share your creepy experiences in the comments. Who knows? Maybe your story will be featured next. Like the story? Want more creepy tales like this? Hit like, subscribe, and share. It really helps the channel grow.